What's up, pretty people? It's Gypsy. I know you think I quit YouTube, but I didn't. I was just taking a little break. Here's the thing, all right? Just so you know, if I haven't said it before, I will never quit YouTube. I'm always going to be doll tubing. The moment you feel that I haven't been on here so long that like I must never be coming back, I'm either incapacitated or I'm dead. Like those are the only reasons why I would not be on here. Okay, long term I'm talking about. So every time you see there's like a gap of uploads, I'm just taking a break. But shout out and thank you to all the people who checked on me while I was on hiatus, I guess, asking me how I'm doing and asking if I'm okay. I really appreciate you guys checking on me. I'm glad to know if I ever went missing, somebody would notice. Oh my gosh. Okay, but today I want to do something a little bit different than what I normally do. I want you guys to check out this video with me. Excuse any noise in the background. My kids are playing video games and they be getting kind of aggressive. And they're in a room next to the one I'm in, so you might overhear a little bit of noise. So this channel right here, Adult Doll Collector, is manned by my home girl, Doll Lala. She is known for making these little cozy videos with her dolls. She does a lot of sewing for her dolls as well. So if you want to see some of the clothing that she makes for them, they're very cute. Some of it's like really cottagecore-ish. The colors are nice and neutral. She's got some really cool projects that she does with her dolls. Not just making clothes, but other stuff too. And she also sells some of her things on her Etsy shop. So please go and check out this channel if you're not familiar with it already. I'll have it linked in my description section. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is specifically this topic that she's talking about in a video that I want to watch with you guys and kind of chime in, because I think this is such an interesting and important topic that I think the people in our community should discuss and think about amongst themselves. So let's just get right into it. It's this video here called YouTube is Destroying Your Hobby. So before we start the video, I just want to let you know this video is only 7 minutes long. So if you want to watch the full video, go ahead and watch it on her channel. Again, her channel's linked in my description. In the interest of time, I may need to edit down some of it, so I just want you guys to go and watch it yourself so you can get the full scope of what she's talking about.
We're going to talk about the trend that's going around where people are just like not finding enjoyment in their doll hobby or having realizations about the doll hobby. And the more I watch these videos that are occurring, I'm recognizing a pattern, and I guess I want to address it for any newcomers who might be entering into the hobby.
Okay, so this is interesting already, what she just said about like there being a trend of collectors on social media expressing that they're getting tired of their hobby. Is any of you guys experiencing that? I kind of know what she's talking about because there are bouts of time when I'll literally look at my dolls and want to slap all of them off the shelf. Like, I don't want to be bothered. I want to hide them all away. I've gone through a couple of phases like that. But for me, it was just because I got really overwhelmed with not being able to display my dolls the way that I wanted to because I had space constrictions, and it was frustrating me. So I felt like if I can't display them the way I want, then I don't even want to see them at all because it was just irking me. And I did actually hide all my dolls away from myself so it wouldn't stress me out looking at them.
I think it's important to be clear that your hobby is for your personal enjoyment only, and if you choose to share it, you need to keep that personal enjoyment the focus of your hobby. What happens nowadays is when we share things, it's not just for our friends to come over to our house and view our collection. To share our collection with the public, we're actually putting it online on social media. And it's the social media that's kind of taking over and ruining your hobby. Whereas doll collecting is your hobby, YouTube actually becomes a hustle. So the dolls stop fulfilling you and you're trying to find fulfillment in the metrics, the views, the likes, the followers.
Okay, this is very significant, this part specifically, what she's talking about, because a lot of us who are doll collectors that share our collection on the internet, we're also content creators. A lot of you guys who follow this channel, I also watch you guys on your channels too. So I think this is very interesting what she's talking about. I've had doll collectors reach out to me in the past and be like, yo, give me some advice on how I can pop my channel off. I want to start a YouTube. Like, what should I do? And the first thing I always tell those people is, if you're trying to do this to make a living off of it, because you're trying to become like a permanent content creator whose income source comes from YouTube, then just give up now. It's not even worth it. Not even worth it. Everybody is not going to be my froggy stuff. And even if you check the progress of her channel, you'll see there's all these fluctuations in her content, the style of the content, how often she was uploading, the kinds of things that she's putting up there, and how much catering she has to do to her sponsors while trying to keep up with her audience. It's very stressful. So, is that really worth it? Can you really enjoy your collection if you kind of become a slave to the algorithm? Personally, I don't think you can. I think you get to a point where the excitement over your numbers on your channel start to outweigh the excitement over your dolls. When your numbers don't look the way you want it to look, it can actually affect how much you're enjoying the dolls, if that makes sense. So if you're new to YouTube specifically and you are trying to cultivate your doll channel, this is something you need to keep in mind, that your first priority should always be your collection and your hobbies over the doll tubing part, because doll tubers do not get paid any significant amount of money for them to be quitting their jobs and doing this full time. Trust me, it's not like that. Even the channels that you guys see that are like really big channels, I promise you, it's such a thing called CPM, and the doll world is not one of those high CPM genres. So you really aren't going to see that kind of a reward. There are perks, of course, to being a YouTuber that we can take advantage of, like sponsorships, affiliate marketing, and things like that. But it's such a small, minuscule perk compared to being able to live off of it, if that makes sense. So unless you have a separate YouTube channel that is more in a niche where you're going to be able to make money off of it long term, just give up if that's what you're doing YouTube for, because it's just a waste of your energy and time. Do YouTube as a doll tuber because you're trying to connect with other doll collectors and as like a creative outlet, because this really is the only space where we can make videos talking about our dolls and not be looking like crazy people, because we don't have any other fellow adults in our real life that actually enjoy this hobby with us that we can befriend. You feel me? So let's continue to hear what she has to say.
There's nothing that says that you can't go after those things, but when you are after the metrics and you are not after the enjoyment your personal hobby is supposed to bring you. Your hobby is about play, inspiration, and creativity. And yes, you can present a collection to the public if you so choose. But the purpose of a hobby, that's all you have to do. Like, you don't even have to present anything to the public. You can collect stamps for your own pleasure and not have to show anyone. YouTube, aka the hustle, is going to be more demanding than that, right? So it's about performance, output, and metrics. And so when those things are not being met, or you're not experiencing growth, then you start to question your hobby.
I totally understand what she's talking about, because I think something that a lot of doll tubers go through when we're making videos also is we consider what is trending in the community when we are trying to figure out what videos to make. So like, for example, I might personally want to show you a video of, say, like 10 dolls that I did makeovers on, but it's like I already did the makeover. They're already done. So I'm trying to show you the end result. But my doll tube brain will be like, oh no, you can't make that video because you didn't film the process of making over the doll. No one's going to watch it because there's really nothing to watch except the end result, and that's not fun. So just don't even bother making the video at all. So even though me as the collector wanted to show you guys my end result, because I was proud of how the dolls turned out, the content creator in me is hesitant to make a video like that because I didn't film the process. And then in the interim, I'll tell myself, well, the next makeover I do, I'll just film the process so that I can turn it into a video. But then when you get to that stage, you don't want to be bothered filming the process of making the doll because that's a lot of work and you're trying to create. You're in a creative mood. So now you're like, well, now I can't even work on the doll because I don't feel like filming it. And it's just like a weird never ending cycle that just keeps going and going and going. So this is a strange place to find yourself. And I think this is how a lot of us doll tubers end up with piles of dolls that are just sitting in the to be fixed up pile, and we just never get around to them because we're telling ourselves, okay, I have to film it first. You understand what I'm saying? I'm speaking for myself here because I have a lot of projects like that myself, and it can get very tedious and consuming. So you're just like, let me just not even bother with it until I feel like it, whenever that happens to be. So that's not a way that you want to be enjoying your dolls. I think all of us fall into some level of this. For some of us, it's like really bad, and for some of us, it's mild. I think everybody who creates content on YouTube faces this question of like, what kind of content should I make with my doll hobby so that I can get views, rather than what do I feel is interesting to share with the community in my hobbying. Ultimately, I feel like you really can't be concerned with that. Just make the videos you want to make. You know, the important thing is for the videos to be clear, like visually, for you to be able to see what's going on. Because if I can't see what you're doing, I mean, this is a visual medium here. Like, what are we even talking about? So make sure you have lighting. Make sure you can actually see what's happening on the screen. And of course, your audio, you want it to be somewhat decent. You don't want your microphone to be like scratchy and just sounding like you're chewing on rocks while you're talking. Other than the audio and visuals being somewhat up to par, everything else, really, I mean, just do whatever you feel like doing.
But your hobby was a personal thing. You know, it started as a personal thing. Your hobby or doll collecting is a leisurely thing where you collect what feels good. The YouTube is a rat race where you do what the algorithm demands. When you are focusing on your hobby for personal pleasure, you can grow your collection organically, right? But if you're following the algorithm for social media, you're going to very easily overspend on whatever is trending. You're not finding passion in the hobby is what you're saying, basically. But really, it's social media that killed your passion for the hobby. Somewhere along the line, you fell into the social media trap where you went from finding joy in the dolls to finding joy in the metrics.
Okay, another thing about what she's saying here that I think is also significant is for those of us who don't actually create content on, for example, like YouTube. We might not make videos, we might not have a channel, but there's a lot of us who connect on Instagram and other social media platforms where we can upload pictures of our dolls, right? Even for those people, I think this applies because a lot of people, and I see this on Reddit conversations in different like Barbie doll forums. People will complain that they want a specific doll just because they're being flooded with images of them all over social media, which is again why I warn a lot of other influencers to be careful what they're posting and not to perpetuate this idea that you should get it because I have it. You know what I'm saying? Because this consumerism mentality that we have, especially here in the West, can get very dangerous. And if people are cutting into their budgets that are for real life needs like groceries, their bills, their children's needs, and then they're spending money on the dolls, y'all, can we all stop like playing around here? Mattel's prices are ridiculous with some of these dolls, okay? It's just outrageous. They're prioritizing getting these dolls before they sell out because everybody's talking about the dolls online. Everybody's posting them, everybody's showing off their dolls, and it kind of creates this FOMO mentality. So you might find yourself collecting a bunch of dolls you don't even like or want or need. You might find yourself doubling and tripling on certain dolls that you telling yourself, well, I need to have multiples. Once upon a time, I used to think like that, but I got rid of that whole mentality because it's just a bunch of plastic junk that's accumulating in my house. Nobody's getting any benefit from it because it's just stuck in a closet somewhere. I'm not even looking at it. What is the point of me doing that but to just tell myself and my ego, look, I have 3 versions of this particular doll and it's so rare and it's so cute and it's so this. It's just pointless. You know what I'm saying? So I actually got rid of a lot of my duplicate dolls, and Now I'm very picky about which dolls I'll get a duplicate of. I need to have a reason. I can't just get it because everybody else is sweating the doll. Like, it has to be a doll I'm absolutely in love with, that I would be devastated if I didn't, if something happened to the version I end up taking out of the box, or it has like an outfit that I really like that I want two of. That's really about the only reasons why I'll get duplicate dolls at this stage. Or if the pricing is really good and I can use the duplicates as body donors. That's pretty much it. I don't want a bunch of plastic junk piling up in my house. The clutter gives me anxiety and I just don't even like feeling like that. I've cut that habit out. But, for the newer doll collectors, these are things that when you're first collecting, you never even think about it. And sometimes you fall into these trends and bad habits because you see other collectors are doing it. You don't really know why they're doing it, but you just follow along because you're like, I think I'm supposed to be doing this if I want to be considered a serious doll collector. And I'm telling you right now, for the people who are telling themselves, oh, if I get this doll, people will think I'm cool. Trust me, okay? You're not cool. Nobody is cool because they have certain dolls. I'm sorry. This is a very nerdy hobby that we are all a part of, and all of us are a bunch of nerds. You're not about to be considered cool to nobody because you got a specific doll. And even if they did think you were cool, who cares? Because those people who think you're cool, they're not helping you pay your bills. They're not buying you dolls. They're not helping you in any way other than to pat you on your ego. So why do you need their approval anyways? You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping that this discussion is really like helping some of us to look internally at ourselves and help us to analyze exactly why we're having negative feelings about our doll collecting, guilt sometimes about our doll collecting because we know how much money we're spending on these dolls or how little space we have in our house for the dolls, but we can't seem to help ourselves. We got to keep buying more because a bunch of people on the internet are talking about a specific doll. I'm telling you right now, I have so many restrictions on how I choose dolls now. You got to have the right skin tone. You got to have the right hair style and texture. You got to have the right face sculpt. Like for me, face sculpt is number one. Face sculpt is king. If I already have 10 versions of this sculpt, do I really need another Mbili sculpt? I mean, seriously, you know what I'm saying? So I got to look at stuff like that. I'm looking for sculpts that I don't have a whole bunch of, that I don't have any of, or that are sculpts that are very unique, like sculpts that are made after real people who they only make one of or something like that. I'm looking for stuff like that because I don't want my dolls to all blend in with each other and feel like redundant, I guess. Let's continue.
So I took some notes on this, my own notes on this, and then I Googled it. And I found some interesting terms on Google. So there's a term called the corrosion of joy. And that's where your private passion becomes a public performance. Your escape has become a stage. Your intrinsic joy, the joy that you were supposed to be getting from simply collecting a doll, has now turned into external validation that you need via social media. This note says that the hobby that needs an audience is just another form of unpaid labor. A lot of us did start our hobbies as a way to relax, right, and unwind, and it was a bit therapeutic. But now in these moments where our brain does want to relax, decompress and all that, when you get on social media, you have to be very careful because social media is wanting to optimize your downtime, and there's a purpose to your downtime. This one says the content trap is when
Okay, this is very significant what she's talking about right here. Man, I love these like cerebral psychological conversations around things like this, the doll hobby, which I think people just kind of dismiss that part of it because they're dolls, they're toys, right? But she's right. We do collect our dolls basically to get enjoyment and relaxation out of them. I can speak for myself. Being autistic, I need to decompress very often. When I socialize with people, it's too much on my psyche. Even when I come here to YouTube, where I primarily socialize with you guys in the doll community, if you guys follow me on other social media like Instagram, you'll see that my activity is drastically low compared to how it used to be like some years ago, because I realized that socializing, even digitally, takes a toll on my mental health, and I'm just not built for that. I can't help that I'm autistic. I'm not built for it. So rather than spiral every time I'm getting deep into social media, I just stay away from it. I avoid it as much as possible. If anything, I'm lurking, like I'm looking at you guys' stuff, but I'm just not interacting with it, right? I have to do that sometimes. This is why you guys see me taking breaks from YouTube. I'm not taking breaks from doll collecting. Behind the scenes, I'm having a good old time with my dolls, rearranging them, customizing, doing whatever I feel like doing with them, getting more dolls. You'll see when I go back to filming my dolls what I'm talking about. But I don't want to buy a doll just to announce to everybody, look what doll I have. I don't want to open a doll just to be like, I got to film this before I open it. That adds stress to my mental health, and something that my therapist told me that I need to do to reduce my anxiety is to do what makes me happy. That doesn't make me happy sometimes. Sometimes I enjoy doing that, but there are times when I don't feel like doing that. I want to keep the doll to myself. I don't want to share it with everybody. Times like that, I don't want to feel compelled to restrict myself from enjoying a doll because I'm thinking about what kind of reaction I'm going to get from social media, or I'm thinking about the lack of shareability because I'm not filming it or taking pictures of it or documenting it. I don't want to even have to go through all of that. So this is so important to have this mindset of freedom when it comes to our doll collecting, and not to feel compelled to do things because other people are expecting something of us. This is another thing too that I noticed. I don't deal with this so much. Here and there I do, but I always have something to say back to them people. But I noticed that there are a lot of collectors who make content, and oh man, you should look at their comment section, how toxic it is down there. I don't know how or why they attract people who love to talk smack in the comment section and bully them. It's disgusting to see, but like, this happens. People will come on your channel and be like, why you a whole adult and you out here playing with dolls? What's wrong with you? Ew, you don't need to be around kids. Like, they'll just say weird stuff to you. And if you don't have a strong emotional and mental fortitude, you will cave under that pressure. I've seen collectors run themselves off their own channels because they couldn't deal with the comment section. Telling someone don't read the comments, that's easier said than done. Everybody is not media trained. Everybody's not a natural performing artist. So when you're used to stage performance and like being in front of an audience, it's a lot easier for you to tune out the noise in your comment section. But if that's not who you are, like off of the internet, it's easier said than done to learn how to ignore certain comments on the internet. You might take it really to heart. This is all part of the reason why what she's talking about here is so significant. Let me just run this back a little bit so I can make sure I didn't cut her off in the middle of making this point.
The content trap is when the photo of the thing, or the video in a lot of our cases, if you're on YouTube, the photo of the thing becomes more important than the thing itself. So my only advice, I guess you could say, is if you're coming into the doll hobby, be very clear about...
Hold on a second. Totally off topic. What doll is this? Does anybody recognize this face? I don't know this face sculpt. Is this one of those little Harry Potter dolls that she put on a Made to Move? Lala, if you see this, can you tell me what doll this is right here in your 5-minute 14 mark? In your video? Anybody recognize her? Put it in the comments. I just want to know.
What is your actual goal? Are you just presenting your collection that you love to the public because there's a community for it? Or are you actually in it for the metrics? Because if you're growing organically and people relate to you, you can still amass a pretty decent size following, but it happens organically. If your goal is the latter, where you're in it for the metrics, you become disappointed with the metrics.
Okay, another side note. Look at this set, y'all. That is beautiful. Man, some of you guys, I'm so jealous of how good you guys are at making these. I love sets that look realistic and not like Barbie's pink mansion vomit Skittles all over the place. Like, I love this. This is very my style. And I'm in my head, in my mind, I'm currently working on a dollhouse project where I'm putting something like this together. But it's still in the brainstorming stage because I want the walls to be removable but able to be put back together for storage purposes. But oh my gosh, this is such inspiration to look at. It's so beautiful. Something else that she's just said about trying to do this as being part of like a doll community. Let me warn you, especially new collectors who are just joining the doll community, okay? And you might not even be a new collector. You might have been collecting for ages, but you're just new to the doll community online part, right? Be careful, because there are also people in the community who can be very toxic and abusive towards other people in the community, because just y'all, all right? Everybody has a personality offline. And some people are assholes. It just is what it is. Use an asshole. You should see how many collectors I've had come to me just in a frenzy because other collectors tried to tell them what they could and couldn't do with their dolls. I've had people do it here on my channel, trying to tell me, oh, you can't body swap your doll because you're going to lower its value. Bitch, I'm not over here to put no type of value, no monetary value on my dolls. They're here for my enjoyment. It doesn't matter if the monetary value drops or goes up. I don't care about that. Like, that's not why I collect. If you're collecting dolls because you think it's some kind of financial investment, first of all, let me blow your bubble now. It's not like that. You're not going to be making no significant amount of money off of these dolls. And second, it's not a hobby then. It's a business. So, like, I don't need your advice. I don't need your business advice because I'm not here trying to start a business with my dolls. It's part of my hobby. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Let me just put that out there. I've had people come to me crying because they thought they were being, I guess, racist because other people in the community tried to tell them, oh, if you're not black, you can't have black dolls. If you're not black, you can't change what they say. They say you can't change the skin tone of a white doll to a black doll or a black doll to a white doll. Like, who's making up these weird ass rules? They'll tell them, oh, you can't braid that doll's hair up into box braids because she's not black. They're freaking dolls. They're not real people. You can do whatever the hell you want. Okay, if I want to put my Chinese doll in a dashiki, I can do that. You're not about to tell me what to do with my dolls, ma'am. And there's really some people in our community who act like this. They think that they are the doll collecting police, and they will come after you. I'm telling you right now, like I said, if you don't have the emotional fortitude or the assertiveness to stand up for yourself and tell these people to go F off, or as our cousins across the pond like to say, bug it off. If you can't tell them that, then you're not going to have a good time on social media, because you are going to occasionally run into things like this. And even if they're not talking to you directly, you see the beef happening between other people in the community, and that may shift the way you view your own doll collection. You might be telling yourself, this doll, she can't have an afro puff. I can't reroot her hair into an afro because she's not black enough. Girl, please stop it. Please stop it. I'm telling you right now, the people who talk like this is not the mindset of the majority of black doll collectors. Most of us will say that's nonsense. All right, do what you want to do with your dolls. Long as you're not literally depicting some racist nonsense like you got KKK members that are lynching someone in a doll scene. That's like, okay, now you being racist. But if it's not something like that, well, you don't give a hot damn. You know what I'm saying? It's only these miserable people that love to gatekeep that do this, not just in the doll community. They do this outside the doll community too. They do this to everybody. Nobody wants to be their friend, right? They're miserable people. Just keep in mind, being online, you're exposing yourself to the entire universe. The whole damn world is on the internet. Everybody. And just because they identify as a doll collector does not mean that they're automatically going to be your friend.
Then you're going to blame it on a lack of passion for the initial hobby. That's actually just not the case. The problem was the social media. If your goal is the latter, where you're in it for the metrics from the get-go, then that's actually okay too. Like I said, if you want the former thing or the latter thing, everyone is entitled to that, and I wish you the best. But it seems like people are unhappy now. If you find that you've become unhappy with something that used to make you happy, right? If we start prioritizing enjoyment over engagement.
Girl, I'm so sorry, Lala. But my ADHD brain is so distracted. Oh, Lord, by these sets that I'm seeing on these little pictures that she's posting. It's so cute. Oh, my gosh. I'm telling you, man, this is my style right here. Yo, the neutrals. This is everything. But I'm glad I saw this because it gives me more inspiration ideas for what I'm trying to build. Another thing I think is significant going along with what she's talking about here, and also with what I was just saying about the pressure from the community itself being abusive. Now, this I don't think is abusive, not per se, but it can feel like it's a little bit constraining, is when you actually get popular on the social media front and you become like a household name, like everybody know who you is, you know what I'm saying? Something that happens a lot is you get a lot of requests from people to post specific information or the same questions coming over and over and over again. You know, like when I was just looking at her doll and I said, does anybody know which doll this is? Like Lala gets questions like that a million times a day. You know what I'm saying? And that can become also very overwhelming for some people, having to feel this obligation to answer people when they ask you questions about your doll hobby. And if you don't answer them, you might be telling yourself, oh, they're going to think I'm mean. They're going to think I'm not engaging. They're going to think I look down on them and they can't come to me for information. So I am obligated to answer everybody who leaves me a comment. And that in itself can get very, very frustrating and stressful, especially if it's something where like you don't know off the top of your head what the answer to the question is. For example, like sometimes people will ask me what sculpt some a specific doll is because I'm kind of known in the community for being obsessed with doll sculpts. The first person they think of to come and ask is me, right? Now, in that case, I don't really care. I will go and try to look up the information if I don't know it off the top of my head. Sometimes I do make mistakes, but for the most part, I'll try to find accurate information for them. But like, imagine if I wasn't really a sculpt head and you kept asking me, hey, what doll sculpt is this? Like 50 people are asking me, what's the sculpt of this doll? Like, that could stress me out because I don't know off the top of my head and I feel like I have to keep answering all these people. I don't know the answer. You know what I'm saying? That could be another factor that, you know, bleeds into your collecting when you're engaging with people on social media. That could be very stressful. This is all stuff you don't even know is going to stress you out until you're dealing with it, that I wish early on I had somehow been able to anticipate for my own mental health. But, you know, people like me, people like Lala, who are more experienced sharing this with the community, I think this is why this is such a helpful conversation to have. At least now, especially the newer people to the internet part of things, you kind of have something to keep in mind if you happen to come across these situations. You can kind of tell yourself, I'm not obligated to answer everybody because they just want me to tell them. You know what I'm saying? People might be asking you, oh, where did you get that car in the background of this photo? It's like, I don't gotta answer you. And it's not because I'm trying to gatekeep information. It's because, first of all, I don't want to be bothered. Second of all, I might not remember. Some of us have had things in our collection for ages. They're gifts from other people. We don't know where it came from. I don't remember. You know what I'm saying? If I can't answer you, it's like, you know, there's this stigma that I'm trying to be bougie about it. I just don't want to answer you because I'm ignoring you. No, I really just genuinely don't know. I don't know. It's okay to say I don't know, is what I'm trying to get at in my long-winded way.
That happiness would shift back to its original state. I'm not judging their decision or their path or anything like that. I'm just saying that it could be the fact that social media is hijacking your passion, and there's a way to undo that by putting enjoyment over engagement. So that's all I have to say. If you disagree or agree, you can respectfully discuss in the comments below. And thank you for watching. I hope the video is able to help somebody who might be going through this, because I really feel like, you know, people are sending out an SOS, not even knowing it. So I'm gonna treat myself to some afternoon coffee and I'll catch you in the next one.
Yes, Lala, your video is helping because it helped me to put some things into perspective and definitely made me want to engage in this conversation with you and share my perspective with our community as well. Let me just take a quick look at her comments. I'm so nosy. I just want to know. It's always good to see more black doll collectors because there are so few of us that I encounter. I think there are a lot of us out here, but we just don't be mixing and mingling with the overall doll community too much, because I think a lot of black doll collectors have like their own style, the way that they collect. You know, everybody doesn't really get us. I completely agree with you. We should simply love this hobby and enjoy the creative process. True, true. Not a big poster, but I did fall into the category of no longer finding joy in the doll hobby for a number of reasons. Getting back to crafting and allowing dolls to flow in organically is my goal, as I find joy in the crafting part of the hobby, and I was doing the reverse. This is interesting too for the more artistic people. I make my videos for myself, not for views. Most of my videos don't get very many views, but I'm very surprised when they do. Enjoy what you do. YouTube's algorithm is jacked up, y'all. This is a great topic. I haven't been engaging in the community very much because life is kicking my butt. Relatable. However, this is interesting. I can see how YouTube destroys a collector's passion. Seeing how I've been on YouTube almost 8 years, I totally understand how the algorithm and other standards can cause a dilemma for many. I briefly was tempted by this myself a few years ago. Wish I could say I make content for doll collectors in general, but I don't. I create content that interests me, and unfortunately that does not garner views. However, doing anything different would seem fake to me. Yeah, I feel you, bro, because at the end of the day, you can't really get far on YouTube if you're not super, super niche. You know, YouTube is very unfriendly now to people having broad interests. It didn't always used to be that way, but it is definitely like that now. Honestly, why I don't post as much, I was pleasing people. Thank you for the upload. I'm so forever thankful to you for sharing your thoughts. As a registered nurse with a demanding work schedule and caseload, it's challenging to post videos as often as I'd like, because it's such a wonderful gift to indulge in my hobby, and it offers such great relief and time to decompress. Also relatable, I do little projects after work in the evenings in the quiet of my studio. I don't always get to post, but I get the benefit of personal fulfillment, and that's great. Channel is growing and reaching the people it should, and I'm grateful for the space, the doll community, and those who appreciate my efforts. I feel you, bro. These are some really good comments. So many different people here. Oh, here's my girl Annie. Let's see. She said, "You're very smart, Cookie. I have noticed it." The trend you are addressing, and you worded your thoughts about it so eloquently. I think Lala is good at speaking her thoughts because she actually works in the school system, so she has to talk in front of people all the time. So that definitely comes out in how she presents her content. So easy to understand everything she's saying. I'm on the other end of the spectrum because I spent decades as a passionate but lonely doll collector. Ooh, lonely only in reference to the fact that I had no other doll collectors to share the joy of the hobby. I think all of us are dealing with that until I discovered the online doll community. Since then, I've made lifelong doll friends on Instagram, and I'm one of them, okay? And in the past year, since I started my channel, I've attracted a small but extremely loyal, loving, and supportive group of followers whom I care deeply about, and most likely I would never have met on my own, or it says any other way. My channel has given new life and excitement to my hobby. I feel a sense of purpose and fulfillment I haven't felt since I closed my restaurant, due to unfortunate circumstances decades ago. Ooh, what kind of food was you cooking? Although my situation is different from the collectors who have lost their joy of doll collecting due to social media caused disenchantment, I absolutely understand the situation, and I think you hit the nail on the head with your observations and your wise advice. The way to avoid the pitfalls of social media, in my opinion, is to create content that fills you with joy, whether anyone watches or not. Do it for yourself and for those who share your love for the hobby. Don't pay attention to the data that the algorithm uses to lure you away from your passion and into a hustle. Yes, and the data be lying, y'all. I don't trust YouTube's algorithm. It be lying so much. You are a very wise young woman. I appreciate you. I will try not to be such a lurker and will drop you a line now and then. Annie. Well, I can't say that for myself because I like to lurk. Let's take a look at Annie's page right quick. I want you guys to see her YouTube. So this is her YouTube channel, and she makes a lot of cool content. Also, Annie is the master of backdrops, y'all. Like all of these backdrops you see in her thumbnails, these are all hers. She makes them from scratch, and she even shows you how she does it in one of her videos. So go over here, this one right here. How I choose the perfect 1/6 scale diorama backdrop. She tells you exactly what she does, beginning to end. Very detailed video. Y'all need to go and check this channel out. And he is really pleasant. She's always smiling, always happy, and you can definitely see how she's getting enjoyment out of making her videos and her doll collection for sure when you hang out on this channel. This is like my happy channel. You know, this is where I come when I want to be like in an uplifting mood. I want to just smile the whole time I'm watching. Yeah, come check out her videos. I'm going to have any linked down below as well, but I also have a lot of other channels linked in my, what do you call that section? My friends or channels I watch suggestions section. There's like a section on my homepage where you can see the recommended channels that I list, and most of those are adults who make doll content for other adults, which is basically the only people I watch. Go ahead and check out that list if you're looking for some new channels that you want to get acquainted with. Yeah, very good comments here. I hope that, you know, seeing this content here on my channel also will give you guys some incentive to talk about this in the comment section and tell me if you agree or disagree, or if you're dealing with this too. I like what Annie said about how she's getting fulfillment from her channel, but that's the proper way to do it. You know, she's not making content to reach a certain algorithm number and like make the audience happy. She's making content to make herself happy, which in turn attracts people to her channel, even if it's only a small group of people that genuinely vibe with her content and they're not watching it just for the trendiness of it, if that makes sense. So I think that's the way to do it. But you know, Annie has lived a little while. She's older than me and Lala, so she's got more life experience, so she probably already came into this not having them type of expectations to begin with. That's what wisdom will do for you. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about beautiful Lala here and her content and what she decided to discuss in this particular video? Do you think this is not really relevant to the majority of us who are part of the doll community on the internet? Because I think this is relevant even if you're not a creator, to be honest. Even if all you do is post, even if all you do is lurk, I think that this different aspects of what she's talking about is very relevant to all of us. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. And also leave a comment below if you're a gatekeeper who thinks that other people should do with their dolls only what you think they should do with their dolls. Because I don't know why y'all always get quiet when I call y'all out. Y'all don't be quiet when you want to jump in somebody's comments and tell them about their doll hobby. So you should identify yourself if you're a gatekeeper. Hey, shout out to you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me here on Broken Dolly TV. My name is Gypsy. I'll be back again with some more videos of my dollies and my hobbying. And now that I've seen this video by Lala, I'm going to stop being in my head about trying to plan the perfect video, because I'll be doing that too and it slows me down. I'm just going to do what I feel like doing. All right. If you don't like it, then whatever. I'll live. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Until we meet again, it's time for you to go have a dolly day.